Now, here at Talk TV and Talk Radio, we told you it was happening during lockdown, and now it's written in plain English. Nicola Sturgeon politicised COVID. This comes from the Doommeister General of the pandemic himself, Sir Patrick Vallance. In his diary extracts published by the COVID inquiry, Vallance wrote that Sturgeon's decision to force masks on school children was, quote, not based on medical advice. It also contradicted the advice to schools given by the chief medical officers of England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, meaning the terror of mask wearing forced upon children was all to score points against Boris. And similarly, it appears that that was the same for vaccinating children in order to keep them safe and to keep them going to school. That turned out to be a crock of nonsense as well. Joining me at the hot desk tonight is Arabella Skinner, Chief of Staff at Us for Them. Arabella, very nice to see you. Good to have you on the Independent Republican, Mike Graham.
Thank you, Mike.
Yourself and Molly Kingsley and your entire organisation has been fighting this tooth and nail ever since it happened, as we were at the time, as all of our children were being told they had to go to school after being off for months and months and months, but they had to wear masks and they had to be vaccinated. I mean, it's absolutely shocking, this, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely shocking, Mike. And it's shocking because we knew this at the time. We were worried about it at the time. We were basically gaslit by our own government and by the people we were meant to trust, and the scientists. We already know that Matt Hancock has told us in his diaries and in his WhatsApps that they decided this wasn't worth the fight with Nicola Sturgeon. And we also now have Sir Patrick Vallance, who was meant to be the independent person thinking about the science, saying, totally agreeing with this as well. And this was way back in August 2020. And this went on until, halfway through 2022. And it wasn't until the end of 2021, literally the last day of 2021, that there was a risk assessment done for our children to actually work out whether this was harmful or not. Yeah. And that was despite us consistently asking the Department for Education for this, and actually going to pre-action letters on judicial reviews on at least 2 occasions, and being told that this is something that needed to happen and was in the interests of our children.
Yes. Well, this is it. I mean, it was the worst kind of what I would call dictatorship from the government and its scientific advisors, because in the end, not only were you not supposed to question it, not only were you not really allowed to question it, but if you did question it, you were treated as if you were some kind of pariah, some kind of revolutionary, some kind of terrorist, practically. I mean, there were lists drawn up with people like you and me with our names on it. Julie Hartley-Brewer as well, Molly, I'm sure, as well.
Yep.
It's unforgivable. And I really don't think that we should let them get away with this, in the sense that, it's revealed in this COVID inquiry, which has already been called ridiculous, useless and biased anyway. And we're supposed to just walk away and go, oh, that's OK, Sir Patrick, don't you worry about it. You carry on. I think he's now working for the Blair Foundation. No big surprise there.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Mike. The real concern, obviously, we know what happened during the pandemic, and we know the issues that affected our children, and we know the impact of it's having now, particularly with speech and learning difficulties. But there is absolutely no accountability. And we may be surprised when we get the first report from the COVID inquiry, but I'm holding my breath on that one. But this is what we should be looking at. These are people who have said they lied. They said they followed the science. They told us to do things. They have now admitted that it was totally political. But there doesn't seem to be any accountability or anyone even really challenging or questioning them on why they did this and how they did this. And more worryingly, nothing to stop them doing it again.
Yeah. Well, exactly right, because presumably the next time, if there is a next time, there won't be Sir Patrick Vallance, there'll be somebody else. But his official quote in his diary is this: very few, if any, children or teenagers will come to long-term harm from COVID-19 due solely to attending school. Now, I have teenage children. When they were told that they could go back to school finally, they were told to get vaccinated, they were told to wear a mask. One of my children refused to do both and was victimised continually by the teachers because he refused to do what they told him.
We have had absolute horror stories throughout the pandemic of children, and some children who really had genuinely serious issues, sensory issues around wearing masks and couldn't wear them. And let's remember, these were children that it wasn't like adults who just had to go in and out of the shop or occasionally on public transport. They were often leaving their houses at 7:30, getting on a school bus with their mask on, and then wearing a mask all day. Yeah. All day. No one else was in that kind of situation. And these children who weren't able to wear them were penalised. We had examples of children who had to sit in the school reception area and hope that teachers gave them work. We have examples of children who became ill with Tourette's and serious tics. We have, the absentee crisis has its roots in the pandemic. It has its roots in the fact that we sent kids home and told them education wasn't important, and also we seriously impacted children who were treated badly and found the whole thing too traumatic and can't come back to school.
Right. And I mean, also you, me and Molly have also spoken about how there's no real proper representation at the COVID inquiry for the harms that were done to our children. I mean, do you think this has a chance of changing that?
I very much doubt it. They've announced the next 3 modules, which take you up to sort of the end of 2025, early 2026, and we still haven't had education and children, the dates they're starting. They're working on research projects, but they haven't announced when we're even going to start talking about children. And the earliest will probably be early 2026. That's 6 years after we shut down schools.
Yeah.
And a child who was 12 then, starting second year secondary, will be doing their A levels. I mean, it is just ridiculous.
It really is. Arabella, thank you very much indeed. Arabella Skinner there, Chief of Staff at Us for Them.